Hi, everybody. This is Lacey Carson, and I am uploading my reflection on assistive technologies. The first question asks to describe the role of assistive technologies in the classroom and what experience have I had with assistive technologies. I have worked with the deaf and hard of hearing for the last 10 years, and a couple students that I worked with for a few years were deaf and blind, or legally blind, and completely deaf. So um, I used a lot of technology with them. We used CCTVs, which is basically like an Elmo. It makes things bigger on a screen for people to see. Enlarged textbooks, yellow laminates over paper to clarify. I spent hours enlarging text at a printer for them. But it was a really great experience. Let's see, there's a second part to that. Out of the things that we looked at this week, I thought IntelliKeys was really cool. I like that you could adjust it for your students, and like if they were dragging their finger, you could slow that down. I really think that that is an excellent use for children, or an excellent application for children with disabilities. I thought that was really cool. Number two, in the article, the three of the six applications of assistive technologies, and give examples of each that are not in the book. This was kind of cool because it took me back to working with those deafblind students again. Applications within communication are assistive devices that help learners with communications. An example of that I've seen in use in a different classroom, it wasn't with students I was working with, was the switchboard responses where they could tap with their nose or something cool like that, or hit with their hand, and there were responses on a little switch key. The teachers would take them and ask the question and give two different responses automatically on those switches and set them in front of the student, and they would hit which one they wanted, which I thought was a really excellent. I mean, it's tedious, but it gives those children a chance to communicate, and that's important. Um, Applications that deal with positioning for better accessibility for students. This was one of the students that I worked with that was deaf and blind was in a wheelchair, and she could use an iPad, but she had to use her nose because she couldn't use her fingers. So we took this tubing that was kind of sturdy. We called it the dinosaur, and we clamped it to her wheelchair so she could have the iPad right here in front of her face, and she could do that stuff. And it was definitely positioning was a huge challenge for those two students because they didn't have much use of their arms. So that was just one way we got positioning to work for them. Another one was mobility. One of the students did use a cane, but she needed also help, so she had a belt, and we would walk with her because she didn't want to use her wheelchair. So for mobility, it was just a simple belt. I mean, it was a simple belt with hand you could hold, and help guide her or whatever. So that's another use for mobility. And something that I want to share with you guys that I've learned to use with my deaf and hard of hearing students is the LiveScribe pen. It's a really cool pen, and it comes with a special paper. And our students really have trouble with taking notes because if they're not looking at the interpreter or looking at the teacher to read their lips, or, they miss a lot of information. So a lot of kids can put their head down and take notes and listen, but these students can't do that. So this actually will record. They can push record and they can write what they can, but that pen is recording everything that's being said. And then whatever they write will go to their Android or iOS device. A lot of times we use iPads, and it can convert to text. And then all of that stuff that they missed will show up, and they can play it back. So that has been a very, very useful tool for our students. And I think it would even be good for students that just don't take notes very fast, because these kids are expected to take thorough notes, and sometimes it's difficult. So those are that was my reflection for this unit. I love assistive technology because I have a special place in my heart for special education. That's what I'm going into. So this was a fun one, and I hope you guys all have a great week. See you later.